guys and dolls, and welcome back to the playground. I am your girl, Sapphire, Kiss and Tell, and I'm here to kiss and tell about another great episode of The Slap, NBC's claimed 8-week series. And let me tell you, today we are going to get right into episode 3, which did not disappoint. Now, I told you in my last video that we were being narrated by the wrong name. It's Mr. Victor Garber. And because of his input, we are able to go right back to the day of the slap and get it from Anook's perspective. So episode 3 is entitled Anook because it gives us Anook's perspective. Anook is a close friend to Hector and Anisha. In fact, she's Anisha's best friend. And so as we enter episode 3, we go right back to the day of the slap, the day of the big party, and we see it from Anook's perspective. Now, what is unique about Anook's perspective is that she misses the slap. Oh my God, she misses the slap. But why does she miss the slap is what is very important. And that's because Anook is on the steps and she has a bird's eye view of Hector and Carmen. And so as we pick up in episode 3, we see that Anook and her younger lover, Jamie, are leaving the party and they are beginning to talk about what happened that day. And Anook says, did you see him? Or something to that perspective. And Jamie says, yes, you want to compare notes? And so he jumps right in. He says there was a lot of inappropriate touching and gazing. If they hadn't had sex, they are about to have sex, meaning Carmen and Hector. And then Anook says, yes, I saw a lot of hand holding at crotch level. I was like, oh my God, and gazing. And she's kind of perplexed because she's Anisha's best friend. And Hector, of course, is Anisha's husband. So we go into that perspective. And Anook, in episode 2, when we are taking it from Harry's perspective, he goes by her job and he asks her, if they come to you about this incident, what are you going to say? I need you to stand with me. Of course, the kid needed to be slapped. And even Anook says, if it had been me, I would have slapped the kid. But she tells him that day in episode 2 that I didn't see the slap. And I was thinking when I saw that, I was like, everybody had to see that slap, but she didn't. Her mind and eyes were on a whole different perspective. So as we dig into the layers of Anook, we have this problem because what should she do? Should she tell her best friend Anisha that she saw her husband being inappropriate with the babysitter? Ooh, and that's a conversation side note that nobody wants to have, because nobody wants to have to tell their friend, you might need to check your husband. And if she doesn't know what's really going on, maybe it's not to that level yet. She may be causing a problem when there should not be a problem. So we have to dive right into this with Anook. So Anook, Anisha, and Rosie, which is Hugo's mother, meet up for lunch. And we get a little bit of insight into Anook's life then, because Anisha asks her, what's going on? And she says, well, she's kind of dealing with Jamie, her younger lover, and then she's a little bit nervous about meeting her mother. And Anisha says, well, why are you nervous? I would love to have the relationship that you and your mother have. Be careful what you say, because Anook and her mother's relationship is very unique, and we find that out in this episode. So as they are having lunch, Rosie comes in and she's all happy and giddy and excited, and Anisha's looking like, and Anook is looking like, she tells Anook, did Anisha tell you the news? Harry's been picked up, he's being prosecuted, and they're both looking like, are you happy about that? And she says, of course I'm happy. He needs to be taught a lesson. Our children need to know that you can't get away with inappropriate behavior. This is where Anook kind of steps in and says, no, this is not what we want. We don't want this. This will change our lives forever. Hugo will heal behind the slap, but these relationships may be destroyed forever. And of course, Rosie is like, no, he needs to be taught a lesson. And what if you had and then she kind of pauses, and then Anook takes the perspective, because I don't have kids, I won't know how it feels if my child was put in this situation. So she's kind of taken aback, and so it kind of gets to explode over lunch, and you can tell that it's going to weigh in on Anisha. And so we get that perspective of, yeah, maybe Harry does need to be taught a lesson, but how will this affect the relationships in their lives? And then we get to meet Anook's mother, who is very eccentric. She's a well-acclaimed psychologist, and her and Anook's relationship is more of a friendship versus a relationship, mother-daughter relationship. And she's about to move to Scotland, and Anook is really, really, hurt by this. And so we get into those layers of Anook's life. Then we get into the fact that Anook is acting really strange. She's very flustered. She's vomiting. She goes to Jamie's concert and she is enjoying the concert, but she has to go to the bathroom and she vomits. And we know what that means, ladies. When we go to throwing up, sweating, can't control the hormones. Pregnancy. Anook is pregnant by her 13-year younger lover. And here's another point I'd like to say. Women are now doing what men have been doing all along, and that's choosing to seek relationships with people that are younger than they are. And they're called cougars, of course, but I sometimes think that it's a really good balance. Sometimes, because women mature faster than men, it is a good matchup, because women are looking to be with somebody that helps them to remain young, help them to feel good about themselves. She's obviously a very, very successful person in her own right. She's the head writer on a TV show. She's, acclaimed in her field. And so to have that younger lover, it helps to keep her young and vital and feeling good about herself. But now she's pregnant and she's having to deal with that. And so she seeks Anisha's advice, because she says she doesn't want to have the baby because of her relationship with her own mother, which we get to see a really good look into that, because she has to admit to Anisha that her mother and father were getting a divorce when her father suddenly drops dead. And on the day of the funeral, she's in her mother's closet trying to find something black to wear to the funeral, and she discovers the transcript of the divorce proceedings, and she realizes that her mother did not want her. She wanted the father to get custody. Now the father's dead, and so the mother is stuck with Anook. So that has kind of plagued her relationship with her mother the whole time. And so after dealing with that her whole entire childhood and adulthood, now she's stuck with being a middle-aged woman who doesn't have kids of her own, probably because she chose not to because of those circumstances. And now she's pregnant by her younger lover, Jamie. So Anisha asked her to kind of take a step back. You don't want to rush into anything. And Anook is saying, well, I just need a referral. Anisha, if I didn't mention in the last video, is a doctor. And she's saying, hey, no, let's take a step back. You don't want to rush into anything. Let's think it through. Maybe come back to me tomorrow and we'll discuss, your options. And so, and another sidebar, I think women, so many women out there who want babies. And so even if you're not in a circumstance to have the baby, whether it's for career, whether you don't have enough money, always choose, if possible, to give it up for adoption. It's always an option. And I know that leaves that lingering thought that there's a child out there who will one day discover that the mother didn't want them, but rather give it to a parent that does than to abort the life. So that's just Sapphire's tip for the day. But anyway, she's toiling over that, and Jamie has already discovered, like we are, the audience, that she's pregnant, and he's excited, and he's telling her, hey, let's name the baby Olive or Oliver if it's a boy. And he says, I'm ready to step up. I know that I'm the type that likes to play a lot. I'm hanging out, I'm drinking, I'm in my band, but I'm really ready to step up. And she's like, no, you're the sweetest man I've ever loved, but I'm just not ready for this, and I don't want you, and I don't want the baby. And so he's kind of astonished, like, here I am ready to step up to the plate and you're pushing me back. Well, she also discovers that her mother is moving to Scotland, and so she's dealing with that. And so we're going through these layers of Anook's life, and when she goes to her mother's apartment to kind of discuss her leaving so abruptly, she discovers that the mother has a brain cancer. So now Anook has that to deal with. And so it's kind of like all of these whirlwind of emotions. Not only is she pregnant, her mother's leaving, but her mother has this degenerative disease. And so we kind of are just all in this tailspin about Anook's life. Her and her mother do have a really meaningful conversation. And she kind of explains to her that she knew she was pregnant and that she's going on to Scotland and she's going to handle this, but that they can still be together. And so Anook is kind of receiving everything in. She even has a very meaningful conversation with Rosie. She tells Rosie, hey, I don't agree with you guys suing Harry, but I do understand your perspective. And Rosie, she even apologizes as well. She says, hey, I understand that I know I was a little bit harsh on you, even though you don't have kids, which is kind of an irony thing because now she's pregnant. And but that doesn't mean that you can't understand where I'm coming from. So as we look at the slap from Anook's perspective, we got all of these really, really great layers going on. We have family. And family doesn't always come in packages that we like. With her and her mother's relationship, we have the perspective of what should she do. And she has a conversation with Hector. Her mother tells her, she explains to her mom early in the episode that she saw Hector having that inappropriate relationship with Carmen. And so her mother says something very, 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 very unique. She says, don't go to the victim. Go to the person that's causing the harm. So she has a conversation with Hector. Instead of going to Anisha, she says, hey, you and Anisha have this wonderful relationship. You are the only thing I have that's family. You're the closest thing to family. You're the mother, the father, the two kids, the American dream, so to speak. And so Hector kind of comes to her with the perspective that, yeah, I know I went too far, but I promise it didn't get out of control. And so she has a conversation with him. So it's going to be interesting to see if Anisha gets to see what's going on with Hector and Carmen. And so that was brought out. Where are we going with the slap? As we go into the next one, our very capable narrator, Mr. Victor Garber, will take us, and I'm excited to see what episode 4 has in store for us, see whose perspective we will be getting the slap from, see how the slap is affecting that person's life. So I'm so excited. I hope you stick in here with me, guys and dolls. I will bring you back to the playground next week to discuss episode 4, the slap. If you guys are not watching this show, you need to get right on it right now. Go see if you can go to the NBC's website and catch up episodes 1 through 3 so that you'll be ready for episode 4. Your girl Sapphire, Kiss and Tell, will be here to guide you through the process. The slap, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Don't you miss it. I'm so excited to be playing on the playground with you guys. Thank you.